Underrated, underrated, underrated success. Underrated, underrated, underrated success. Underrated.
All right, so this is PJ Young. It's another episode of Underrated Success. Today I have a special guest on Underrated Success, Brianna Decker. How you doing?
Good. How are you, PJ?
I'm doing very well. It's so weird because we've met one time, right? You came to Boston, and this was after you guys won the gold medal. And I walked past because we have a mutual friend. I'll say her name, Justine Lyon. She's so wild, but I love her. And I walked by because I was going to a famous restaurant. I guess it's famous, Flames in Boston, Mass. And I was going to get a beef patty with potato bread, I believe it is. And cocoa bread and cheese. And I walked past and Justine said, "Hey, meet my friend." So you were so nice. You're like, "Here, hold my medal." And I'm like, "Medal?" And then it was a nice gold medal. And I was like, "Oh, shoot, that's crazy." So I had first introduction was real cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was real cool because you're so humble and you wouldn't even know. But what I like to start with on the show is the first question is, what does success look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, success can be defined in so many different ways, but obviously to me, I just feel like any goal you set out to do and you reach that goal, it can be a small one, it can be a weekly goal, or it can be winning an Olympic gold medal. I think that's what success is to me, reaching a goal that you set out.
So has it changed over the years?
Yeah, I think, I've obviously been pretty successful as far as winning a gold medal or going to the Olympics, doing well in college. I think, success I've defined it differently, probably in my later years now, just because I'm an older player, and it can be a small thing for me, like making an impact on younger players who are going to fill my shoes one day, or, we just had camp, last week, and I had a couple of young girls on my team, and I'm successful by helping them become better players every time I'm on the ice and helping them feel more comfortable in a national team camp setting. So I would say my success is defined differently just based on.
So talk a little bit about your upbringing and being in the dynamic of your household.
Yeah, so I grew up with three brothers, two older, one younger. And so I got into hockey because my two older brothers played, and I wanted to be like them. We played out in the driveway all the time. And obviously my younger brother fit right in once he was on the map and trying to keep up with us. But so growing up, my brothers were really supportive of me, always have been. I would say my brother Ben, who's 2 years older than me, wanted to basically he picked on me the entire time. He always wanted to make my life. For a long period of time. But I look at my childhood and how I grew up. We grew up in a subdivision, and all of us kids played together around the subdivision. We didn't people are always did you have a lot of friends over when you were younger? And I was like, no, I played with my brothers and my neighbors.
Right.
Just small town. And I think, I would have friends call me, no joke. I'd have friends call me, and I would tell my mom, be like, "Hey mom, can I go over to so-and-so's house?" And I would be whisper to her, I don't really want to say no. So right. I just enjoyed, playing with my brothers in the yard and playing all different types of sports throughout the day.
So how is your parents encourage you and just being just great at whatever you do? Because, you have your brothers picking on you or sticking up for you. You're the only girl. So how is that encouraged by your parents?
Yeah, like my parents were great. I think the one thing they always let us do, kind of decide what we wanted to do, what we had most
Yeah.
fun with. My parents never like made me really decide between a sport or
Right.
anything. Like there was one sport I had to decide between, that was hockey and gymnastics, because it was just too much for my mom. My dad worked nights, so it was just a lot of scheduling conflict. So I think I chose the right sport considering I picked hockey over
Yes.
gymnastics. But yeah, my parents were just always supportive, and we'd always go watch each other's games. Like I watched my brothers play all the time. Whether I was there watching or running around the rink or running around the field. But it was still like I enjoyed watching them compete, and they enjoyed me watching compete.
So what examples did were your parents for you growing up, and their parents? Because I know I read some that your grandparents would get 60 years, which is incredible. So what is that example in the dynamic of the, the monarchy of the family, I should say,
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that both my parents, both my dad's side and my mom's side have in common is just how hard they've worked. Going like from my grandparents down to my parents, like they work so hard. We're blue collar family that like just works for everything that we need. And I also like like you just mentioned, like my mom's parents have been married for a really, really long time, and it's my grandparents, and just the trust and respect factor between the two of them. It's so noticeable to us grandchildren, and obviously to my parents.
Yeah.
And so just a lot of those like key things, like those are things I keep in mind all the time. Just when I'm talking to people, like no one's bigger than anybody else, and everyone should be treated the same.
That's awesome. And, my dynamic, my grandmother was she's my heart now, right? So I see how hard she works and what she puts into her life. So I always want to, be the right person for her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And obviously that's who we look up to, as we get, older. We want to resemble them a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
So you said 4 or 5. Let's fast forward a little bit to high school. Is it Goldie was your? Is it? I don't want to say names and mess up names, but your high school coach. I'll call him Goldie. Is it Goldie?
Gordy. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I'll say St. Mary's, Shattuck. Did you guys call it the Shattuck?
It would be either Shattuck. Yeah, just Shattuck.
Yeah. So how was that experience just going through high school with having older brothers? Did everyone stay away from you because you had older brother, or they were like, oh, well, let's push her. She's an amazing player, and let's just be behind her,
Yeah. So actually unique situation. So Shattuck's a prep school in Minnesota. So my brothers went to high school back home in Wisconsin. And so my older brother. So when I traveled to Shattuck, I was like going by myself. And I was a boarding school, so I stayed there. And obviously my parents were back here, back in Wisconsin. I was a 5-hour drive about, but no, it was like a little bit of a scary thing going to prep school by myself. But every student, like a lot of the athletes, they're all in the same boat. So right away, you obviously have a team, and you try out and all that. And I think, you right away have your, 20 other sisters that you're a part of, and that becomes your family. But my prep school, like I went there for 4 years, and like, they're like my family. Like I'm planning on heading back there in a couple of weeks to train. They're open to having me come back and help out and stuff like that. And just the connections I've made, like some of my friends that I have now are ones from high school more so than college. So I really am thankful for that. I was able to go there.
So what made you choose that prep school?
Yeah. So I played. So when I went to prep school in high school, that was like my first years of just all girls teams. I played a little bit of girls growing up, but I had played boys. And so in 8th grade, after my boys season, our team disbanded. So I actually didn't have a boys team to play for. That was in like reason of my parents driving me. Otherwise I would have had to drive like 2 hours, like 4 times a week. And it would just been too much. So it was kind of a big decision my parents and I had to make. And I went up to that like prep school and I was like, I want to go here. This seems amazing. Like there's some top end players that have went there and top end female and male players. And so my mom's like, all right, like we'll make it work. Like, and financially it was kind of a little bit of a burden on our family, but man, like I think my parents look back at it and just like financials wasn't even something they could want to even consider. Like, I'm glad they didn't consider it basically because I learned a lot and became the hockey player and person I am today through Shattuck. So.
Wow, that's awesome. So as far as getting recruited, I'm sure it's the same as basketball and, you know, people come to the games and watch you play and then they come to the house. So tell me a little bit about that process and keeping your studies together, you know, because I feel like as athletes, we can kind of go away from that, but and it's a little wild in prep school being away from home. Did you have any moments that you're like, this is not for me? I do not want to do this. I want to go back home.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was like really hard for me to right away, like balance. Like I was always pretty good at school only because, not because I was naturally smart, just because I worked hard and I got my homework in. So like, you know, through middle school, it's half the battle. So I was fine. And then like high school was, you know, a little bit more challenging and like some of the, you know, tests and stuff were a lot harder and everything was a little bit more strict. So I did struggle with it a little bit, but at the same time, I just felt comfortable and I was able to like ask people, you know, ask questions. Like the teachers are really open about getting extra time if you need it. And I think it was just taking advantage of that stuff. But like once the recruiting stuff kicks in, like it is a distraction and it's tough, but I think it's just putting your studies first. Cause at the end of the day, like you need to have good grades and good things like that before you can get into where you want to go.
So what made you choose Wisconsin? Like what would it, or let's go back a little bit. What are the top 3 schools that were recruiting you?
Yeah. So I was looking at, I was kind of able to pick where I wanted to go, luckily. And so I was looking at University of Wisconsin, University of Minnesota. And I was looking actually at University of Minnesota, St. Cloud and St. Cloud University, I guess it would be. And there was a smaller school and it wasn't that good, like talent wise and team wise, it wasn't that great, but I went to a prep school. I went to a small school. So I'm like, do I want to pick that fitting? Like, is that the fitting I want? And it was a team that wasn't as good. So do I want to make a huge impact on the team? And then I was like kind of torn between, I kind of wanted to go to University of Minnesota because I was obviously went to prep school in Minnesota and then I went to those games and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Right. Like I want to be a Gopher. But at the end of the day, like I knew my heart and everything was into going to University of Wisconsin. Short story quick, like when I was in fourth grade, our fourth grade teacher like made us write a note to ourselves and we didn't get that note until we graduated high school. And basically at the end of like at another letter you write, I wrote like, I want to play for the Wisconsin Badgers one day and be a dentist. Well, I only accomplished one of those things. But, but yeah, so like I knew at the end of the day though, like I wanted to play for Wisconsin and play for the Badgers.
Yes. So talk about your college experience, because I feel that people will overlook that and see your success, but you're a human being, you have difficulties. So talk about the difficulties in college and going from prep school to freshman year and a little bit of that.
Yeah. So my freshman year of college, couple of things happened my first semester. Of course, I was freshman, kind of a little wild, maybe didn't put my studies before stuff, but I ended up failing a class my freshman year. So luckily I did well in my other classes, but I just had a really tough, one of my classes was super tough. Like it wasn't that I wasn't working hard at it, just it happened. It was college, it's different, maybe a little bit less time into my studies than I wanted to, but like I said, I did better in my other classes, so it didn't affect my eligibility. But then also my second game of my college career, I broke my elbow. So I was out for 6 weeks. And it was just like, I think that, on the ice, like, scoring a goal. Actually, I fell into the net weird after I scored and broke my elbow. So that was just like that was a tough stretch. I think, injury is tough. Like injury is already like tough for some people, but then to like get hurt when you're like in the beginning of your season and you're new on the team, I think it's just, now you're wondering like, where do you fit in? Like who's supporting you? Like are other players, obviously still, skating every day, working out every day. And like, you're kind of behind the ball on your own little island. So I think it was tough, but I had a lot of great teammates that made sure I was, checking in and everything like that. And what I did was take it one day at a time. And that's the only thing I could control.
So you faced adversity right off the bat.
Yeah, right away.
So my freshman year in college, I redshirted. So that was probably the toughest thing that I've ever did. Yeah, because you go from, and I went to high school and I won back-to-back state championships. So I was going from, and I was in the same city that I went to high school in New Hampshire. Okay. So I was known player and didn't have the red shirt. It was the worst thing. So I can relate as far as, the adversity right off the bat. And I failed the class my freshman year, but that's because I wasn't going.
There you go. Yeah, little different circumstances, but
yeah.
Hey, you know what?
8 o'clock.
I look back at it, might as well not have went because it failed anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, mine was 8 o'clock and I said, I'm not going. But,
Oh, yeah.
I graduated, yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit. So after the injury, you overcame that adversity. It wasn't easy. I broke my little finger. And it
Sorry,
sounds so crazy. No, it actually does. A little finger is one of the worst things because you can't grip it. It's bad. But so I can relate a little bit. No pun intended, right? So after the injury, sophomore year, you're playing well. You're starting to fit in. You're starting to feel like yourself again.
Yeah, definitely. Sophomore year was obviously the year that we won, but we had some girls come back from, who played at the Olympic Games in 2010. So some of those girls came back, and I remember going into my sophomore season, I was like, all right, like, I just want to I don't want to just be like someone on their line. If I'm playing on their line, I'm like, I want to be like an impact player and like be just as good and, just keep elevating my standards and like making sure I'm pushing them as well. And so that was kind of my goal for the season. And that's kind of what happened my sophomore year. And I think that's why it helped me perform well and our team perform well as well.
So did you go into college with a major or you just decided as you're going? Because I feel like, so I went into school, sports management was my major, and graphic design is what I picked up later. I only went in because it had sports under, right? So they were like, oh yeah, just go in. Sports management is what you want to do. You want to be an agent. And that wasn't it.
Yeah.
So what made you choose your major?
Yeah. So I went in, same thing. Like I went in to like be a kinesiology major. So that's where my then I failed that first that class freshman year, and I was like, all right, I need to take a relook here and just take a step back and figure this out. But I ended up majoring in human development and family studies. So a little bit of social work / communication. And I can tell you, when I was doing the major and in school, I was like, okay, I just want to get through school because I love playing hockey. And now I look back and I'm I actually did choose the right major. Human development, I'm obviously involved with coaching now. And that's, developing players to the next level. And, I just I'm into that stuff. I'm into people. I'm into communicating and trying to figure out how I can help people in any different way that I can. So it ended up being the right thing.
Yo, that's awesome. I mean, so mine wasn't it for me because I don't use it at all. I mean, I guess I didn't want to do ticket sales. When I was in school, my goal was to get through. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go play overseas anyway. So I don't want to be an agent. But I used to host. I was the host. So I used to host all the recruits. Okay. So yeah, we were going to the parties. You were coming to my school, but I only hosted them I only hosted because my coach would give me $30. So he would say, here's $30 for your recruit to go eat or whatever, to get McDonald's or whatever. But that $30 was mine.
Yeah. That's funny.
So I don't think the recruits, they're still in high school. They don't know that I'm getting $30 to host them.
No.
But I would give them the best time,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. I showed them the best time, and they would stink the next day because they were partying too late. We'd have workouts. They would stink. Coach, what did you do to this guy? I'm like, hey, I didn't do anything, but show him a good time,
Exactly.
So as far as the regimen, I'm not going to get into, because I feel like those are questions that everyone's going to ask, like the workout and the regimen, because you have to have some kind of skill and be gifted, like to be at a certain level. But I feel like it takes a different person to take it to the next level. And obviously you've done that. So just talk about not being lazy.
Yeah.
let's go that route.
Yeah. Honestly, I'll put it in this perspective. I always, now that I coach, kids are always asking me, hey Dex, what do you look for in a player? And it's the same thing that I judge everything that I do. And that's my work ethic, right? And my effort. I always tell kids, I'll take a kid who works hard and has the strongest effort over any skilled player, because that skill can show up so inconsistently. Whereas if, that hard work, you always know what you're getting. So those are my two things that, I've always based everything on. But then now that I've gotten older, right, to become elite, to become that above and beyond player, it's focusing on those little details of the game. And you listen to these, I don't know if you're a football fan or not, but you listen to these quarterbacks talk about how they get how they become unbelievable quarterbacks. And it's, they watch film nonstop. They pick out little details. I think one of my favorite, I'm getting off subject here for a second, but one of my favorite quarterbacks, obviously Aaron Rodgers, I think he said one day, he's I watched film on Tom Brady because Tom Brady was one of the best quarterbacks. And I just think that's unbelievable. And that's what I have been trying to do is I watch film on my opponents to get better, but then also to realize where I can expose them. So. Yeah.
My brother likes Aaron Rodgers. He used to always do the belt. He used to take his head. He used to love it. And we have this debate. He likes Aaron Rodgers and what's my guy, the Cowboys, Romo. He loved Romo. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was how do you like these two guys? But I was in the prime, Aaron Rodgers, he still is. He can sling that thing, but he was that guy at one point,
Absolutely.
So let's get back on track. You talking about Aaron Rodgers? No, but so watching film is huge. I hated film because people you can't hide from film, right? And you get exposed from the film because you can't lie. Film does not lie. So talk about that with your 18 and under team as far as watching, because it's a different dynamic, right? Because they're still young, so they don't understand what film. So how do you get them to buy into that?
Yeah. So some of these, when I'm coaching the U18 team, these younger kids some of them are into film, they love it. And some, like you just said, they don't want to be exposed. They don't want to be embarrassed and, picked out in front of the group when we're doing team film. But that stuff's good. It's just how you grow as a player. And I think I have a lot of one-on-one sessions with some of those players because that's what they learn from the most. And from our national team standpoint, us girls, we watch NHL guys film because those are the best players. Those are the top guys at our sport right now. And from our U18 national team, when I'm coaching, I make them watch our national team because that's what they're striving for. That's what they're trying to be. So, I think it just puts a little bit of a visual cue on things so that they can learn in that aspect.
You bring up a good point. I'm gonna put a little note on that for a second and go back to the human development. So do you feel that it helps you with talking to the youth? And then the second part of that is family upbringing. Did that weigh in as far as you taking that as a major?
Yeah, I think my family upbringing definitely like factored into my major. I don't know. I kind of look at the way my mom raised us, and just she was involved. I did Girl Scouts, like my brothers did Boy Scouts, like we did all this stuff, right? And my mom was involved with some of that stuff, like not over the top, but she just wanted us to have those good values, and I think that did help me pick my major. But now, when I coach, using my major is a huge advantage. Kids can't be communicated all the same. Like you gotta have a different approach with different kids. And I think that's a learning aspect, I think, for all coaches. And I'm still learning that, but I think my major has helped with that quite a bit.
Yeah. I used to work at a group home, and it definitely helps to, I don't want to say verbal judo, but it does help to be able to relate to the youth, in some way, form or fashion. And to be able to sit down and actually communicate with them and they can relate to that, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know I don't want to put fuel to the fire here, but we got to throw a little bit of controversy, right? So you said that you, with your girls, you watch the NHL. Now, why do so we'll just go into social equality.
Okay,
right?
there we go.
So, yeah, I have to go there a little bit, right? Because you said it, and because I used to coach girls basketball, and I used to ask them who their favorite players were, and it would always be a man. It would be, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. And there's so many women players that are amazing, so you have Candace Parker, Maya Moore. You have these players that are great, but for whatever reason, they're not on the same platform. So can you, or do you want to dive in just a little bit as far as that platform is?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a tough go a little bit. I think some people view it so differently, but for me, I feel like I've always looked up to NHL guys, like you said, but what we're trying to do right now, our generation, is basically pave the way for these younger girls to have someone to look up to. So when I was younger, though, I looked up to NHL guys, but I also looked up to, sorry if you can hear my dog. I also looked up to these national team players who played in the Olympics, like Cami Granado and some of these older girls. And, I got to meet them eventually. One of them was my coach at one point. So it was a pretty cool experience. But I personally think that it's not wrong to be a female and have male role models, because I think that they are naturally going to be stronger, faster, that's how it is for hockey, at least, they're stronger, faster, and they're going to be better than us. But so it's not a bad thing. But I think what I want eventually is to have these girls be able to be I look up to Brianna Decker, but I also look up to Sidney Crosby. So I look up to two guys and two girls.
Yeah. I tell you what, when I'm playing against a female on a basketball court, I don't show any mercy, because I watched my friend, he was playing one-on-one with a girl, and she slammed him so hard with her shoulder because he was messing around it's just a girl. And I was like, what? From that point on, I'm never going to do that. Your dog's name your dog's name begins with an N. Tell me again.
Her name's Missy.
Missy?
Yeah.
I thought you said Niffy the last time we spoke.
Niffy.
I was like, Niffy.
Well, I like that too. I kind of like that too.
All right, Missy. So when you're yelling down the street Missy, come here, Missy.
Exactly. Yeah, she's going. Well, I told my mom to take care of her right now, but who knows?
That's all right, Missy. She wants to be interviewed too.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I know that that's a huge thing, is the social equality, and I don't want to dig too much in it, but I do feel that when I was coaching the girls, they always used to ask. I used to ask them that question and say, "Well, how come you don't have that female role model, but there's not enough. So I think you're doing a great job with the movement. I know you have your youth program going on, and I think you're doing a great job paving the way for a lot of, because even hockey now, I watch hockey, youth hockey. They're playing this co-ed. Yeah. So it should be a girls' league or a boys' league, and the co-ed is cool, but it would be good if it was just an all-girl female league too.
Yeah, I hope it can get strong enough to be like where there's programs all around that can be like that. I mean, that's why like everyone, it's such a tough thing because like I learned like playing with the boys made me who I am though. Like that's the thing that's super tough. Right. But I think it's because the girls programs, like you said, just aren't there yet, and they're going to be there eventually. And then those girls can be like, yeah, like I played all girls growing up all the time, and I am now an Olympian. So.
Right. So talk about the endowment program.
Yeah. So I created an endowment 2 years ago now, I think it is. And so basically I wanted to create an endowment to help support youth female hockey in the state of Wisconsin. And eventually it will, I want it to be obviously spread to the, most of the Midwest. Basically the central district is the district that I grew up in, which was kind of like Wisconsin, Illinois, kind of Midwest. And, and then eventually across the US. But this endowment, I created it because there's just not enough support, not enough financial support in female youth hockey. And I think this was a great way for me to do it. And basically these teams apply for this grant every year around the state of Wisconsin. And then I help choose the team that, I think needs the money to help support their program. And I will go and like show up and give them the check in person. But obviously this year was a little bit of a hiccup just because of COVID and stuff. But I think it's just an opportunity for me to like kind of put a face. Obviously they know what I look like and stuff, but I put a face with everything. And I think it's important to be able to have these girls meet a role model like me. So they have that visual, someone to look up to.
So when you were growing up, obviously you had your family as role models, right? Yeah. So is there someone else that you looked up to and said, you know what, I want to strive for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a unique question. I think I looked up to, like I said, Cami Granado, some of these, she was the captain of the 1998 team for the U.S. women Olympic team. But I think, her and Angela Ruggiero as well. But I think, I looked up to my family. I looked up to my grandfather a lot, and I still do. And I think, people always ask that. And it's like a lot of people have the older family members as role models. And I think it's so important because that's the roots. That's something you saw every single day. Yeah. And I think that's why I never, shied too far away from some of that. So
it's awesome. And if everyone gets on the same playing field, I think it would do wonders for confidence levels for a lot of the youth. And we'll see improvements on behavior because a lot of it, there's not enough to do, So if we can put sports in front of them and say, listen, play a sport, do something, instead of getting in trouble or watching TV or making TikToks. Well, TikToks are definitely fun. But which reminds me, I saw you were dancing on some. You was doing your little John Travolta Saturday Night Live dance. It was like I don't even know what it's called, a GIF or a GIF. What's the right?
Oh the GIFs or it's GIF.
The GIF.
I think it's GIF. It's GIF. It's GIFs.
I don't even know what it is anymore. I'm just like that thing.
Yeah, I did do one of those once. Yeah, it was for like in a campaign. Yeah,
you were doing. Yeah, I was like, oh. But so the typical question is what song would get you ready for a game? But I did read that you listen to the same song, right? Is that a secret or are you not telling me?
No, that's not, it's not a secret at all. Yeah, I'm superstitious like that a little bit. But yeah, I listen to Fall by Eminem, getting off the bus usually. I just I don't know, I liked it. That song will kind of change when getting off the bus. That song kind of changes per year, but I've been for some reason I've kind of stuck with that one since it came out. I just think it's so good. I don't know why, but and then I tape my stick. I tape my stick before every game, and I listen to the same song for that as well. Yeah.
What song is that? That's what I was asking.
Oh, it's back. I looked it up because I always forget the title of it for some reason. It's on my playlist. It's just at the top, so I just click it. But "Back Where I Belong," featuring Avicii. I don't know. I liked it a long time ago. I like it, and stuck with it. So
hey, sometimes I listen to Beyonce "Love on Top." I don't care.
There you go.
So it's funny. People will see me. I'll have like AC/DC in my head, and then people are like, "What is he listening to?" And then next thing you know, it switches over to Beyonce, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
So that's why I'm all over the place. But it's fun though. So what is your fondest memory of growing up?
Honestly,
I'm not saying that you're old now, but
and this can be anything you're asking.
It can be anything. Yes.
Like I kind of mentioned in the beginning of the podcast a little bit, like playing with my neighbors and my brothers in our yard. Like we went from playing street hockey in our driveway to playing baseball to jumping on the trampoline to playing in our pool, like nonstop all day. And I'd mentioned to you, like my dad worked nights, so he was sleeping in the house. So my mom cringed on rainy days and celebrated on sunny days. So we loved it. And those are my memories, even playing street hockey late at night and my dad sitting out there watching us. We always asked him to come out and watch. It was just nice. This is going to be random, but how come Aaron Rodgers doesn't wear Uggs, but Tom Brady does? That's a very, very good question. Who knows? Well, I don't know. Who knows? Aaron Rodgers could wear Uggs. We never know. You think he can get away with wearing Uggs? Mm-mm. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's funny because I watch, and obviously this is the first time we're having a real conversation about certain things. So it's just sometimes I ask questions just to see what the person's gonna say. So I see Tom Brady. I'm like, why does he wear Uggs? Are they comfortable? Maybe I should try Uggs. But I wore Crocs the other day, and I wore Crocs the other day, and people were making fun of me for Crocs. So I don't think I can get away with them. Oh, I know, but Crocs are nice to just chilling. Crocs are different, to say the least. But so talk about the NHL experience and what that means or meant to you. Yeah, the AllStar Weekend. Yes. Was pretty incredible. I think, obviously we were lucky. There was only 4 of us girls there, or women, I should say. And it was, pretty lucky to be there, but it was an opportunity for us to meet those players and then be demonstrated the skills. And one of the girls ended up competing in it. I ended up doing well in demonstration, but, like I said, so the NHL brought us there because they wanted to help support women's hockey and put us a little bit, give us a little bit more visual platform for people. And so I was thankful just to be there. And when it all blew up, I was obviously ecstatic, but in some ways, I'm not going to lie, I felt kind of weird because I I'm already so thankful that we're there that I didn't want it to be anything bigger than that. And, but you know what, we help put women's hockey a little bit more on the map, and everyone, pays attention a little bit more to women's hockey because of experiences like that. So. I believe that you are there though, it's just a little more push and I feel that the NHL, they can do more for your sport. You know what I'm saying? And this, so for example, right, you have the NBA and you have the WNBA. They and this is a little controversial too, but they don't play on the same field. So they don't have the same money, right? Why is that? There's not a right answer. You know what I'm saying? We can't say, because of this or that or another. But I would like it to get to a point where the female hockey league is televised all over the country, right? And that we know all the players. You have AllStar Weekend, and it should be like that. The NHL should have, it should be, I agree. I mean, I think like like you said, we are getting there. I think being a little bit more support and more push. I think toughest thing for me when it comes to like our pro, like, you know, we're in our PWHPA, which is Professional Women's Players Association. I think the toughest thing is when we play our showcase games on the weekends and stuff like that. Like the players that I'm playing against or the players that are playing the game, there's about 12 to 13 Olympians on the ice. And those are the players that are playing against each other in those gold medal games at the Olympics. And I think if we can get people to tune in, like people don't even know that this stuff's going on sometimes. And I'm like, get people to tune into those games. They would love it. Like they would love it just as much as they do Olympic games.
Right. It's wild because in 2014, obviously, you know, but we played Canada and I was playing in Canada at the time. So, you know, I'm an American in Canada and women's hockey is the USA team is playing Canadian team. So it's for bragging rights. And I'm over there watching the game. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember the game and where I was sitting on the couch and I had people over and it was an exciting game. We came up short. If I'm not mistaken, it was 3-2, went into overtime, something like that, right? And I just remember saying everybody was on my back, like I was playing on a team. And I said, you know what? I need to represent. It doesn't matter if it's men or women's hockey or soccer. I'm going to represent the U.S. no matter where I am. So I definitely was tuning in the games, and I do watch hockey. I love playoff hockey, and I would love to see that, not just on a world level, but just on an every year basis. I would love to watch that game, and I'm sure a lot of people would too, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I want that for us at some point and have it be televised and people, you know, get amped up for it. People fill out brackets for it and stuff like that. I think that'd be awesome for us. I think, you know, I think even just having like, you know, everyone's into the fantasy stuff, right? Fantasy football, fantasy hockey. Like it'd be incredible to have something like that. I think having people follow players, I think that's what's fun.
So what do you believe has to happen to get you on that stage?
You know, I think you kind of mentioned earlier, just like the NHL is fully supporting us. You look at, like you said, the NBA and the WNBA and how their platforms are. They're not completely even, but the NBA has supported the WNBA. And I think we need that as far as like the NHL needs to help fully support us, you know, and I think that will help bring fans in. And the more support we have from fans, the more visibility we have. And I think that's how our game's going to grow quicker.
So you might not have this answer and I might not either, but whose door do we need to knock on?
That's a good question. Yeah. I don't know. I think like that's what we're trying to work on. We're, you know, taking baby steps, but things like this do take time. And I think the NHL does have something set for us at some point. I personally do think COVID did mess up some things as far as financially supporting the women's league right now. Our goal, I think, is to obviously have something by next year, but if not by next year, like after the next Olympics. And if I'm playing, awesome. And if I'm not, hopefully I can help start a program or coach one of the teams one of the professional teams that we'll have. So
you just said if you're playing, if you're not playing, you're like, if not the best hockey female player in the world. What are you talking about?
I know, that's true. Well, I'll be 1 year older then, but I'll be like 30. I don't know. I'm going to decide. I do really enjoy playing and I'm going to play as long as I love it. And so we'll see.
So what is the I don't want to say life experience. So as far as hockey, you're old when? Let's just say that.
Yeah. So, well, that goes back to if you're male or female. And I think you look at male players, they'll play all the way through up to 40, some of them. Right. Female players, our careers, you know, it's more so now, far and in between. Like people usually end up being done around age, you know, 28, 29. There's some girls who play up to like 30. We have a 33-year-old on our team right now.
Yeah, we gotta get funding because if you're funded better, you play longer.
Absolutely. I saw a thing on Instagram the other day that Russell Wilson spends $1 million a year on his body, and I'm like, I wish I could spend $1 million a year on my body.
Yeah.
I would be playing till I'm 40 or something.
Yeah. Right now I'm spending $10 a month at Workout World on my body.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So I wish I had $1 million. But you hear numbers like that and you're saying, well, obviously everyone earns their money and do, but if that $1 million goes to female hockey or female sports and everyone pitches in, I think it'll just be better for everybody.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's going to make money, endorsement deals. It's going to be sponsorships. Everyone's going to make money, TV deals,
Yeah, I think I think, hockey players, like NHL guys, like if, like you just said, like if they could just, support our league too, like financially, I think it'll first off look really good on them. But I think they would eventually benefit from it as well. Yeah.
Well, Brianna, there's one thing I know that we can't get back is time, right? So I appreciate you coming on the show and giving me time to just sit down and talk and getting to know you a little better. Before we go, we got to put respect on your name. And I want you to, I have here, you have 9 total medals and 7, but I wanted you to take this time and talk about you, your credentials, what you want people to know about you. But also I want you to brag a little bit and throw in, the medals and because I see that it's hard for you to do that. And I know you're a very humble person and I appreciate it. But I want you, we're going to put some respect on your name right now. Even more.
Well,
yes.
Well, PJ, I mean, you're making me feel uncomfortable with my accolades and stuff. But though I'm a 2-time Olympian, and obviously Olympic gold medalist and 6-time world champion, I think, and now I've won U18 championship with the world championship as a coach. I think the one thing that, people always ask me, like, what do you want your legacy to be? And I just want to be the humble person that can, affect people's lives in a positive manner. And at the end of the day, like, sport is what carried me and has taught me so much, but sport isn't life. Life is so much bigger than sport. But you learn a lot of lessons from sports. So I'm thankful to be playing hockey for as long as I have, and hopefully my career continues.
That's awesome. And don't ever shy away from what you've done over the years. You accomplished a lot, and you should be very, very proud of yourself for doing it because you put in the work, So I don't mean to make you uncomfortable with your credentials, but at the same time, that's you. That's what you have accomplished over the years, and you should be very proud of that. So BD, I appreciate you coming on the show. This is another edition of Underrated Success. And just because you may not see success doesn't mean that you're not successful. So anything I can do, don't hesitate to ask. But I'm going to send you an Underrated Success number 4. Oh, why did you pick number 14? Why is that number?
No, hey, nothing special. No big story. That was what I was handed to me when I got on the national team in 2010. So I just stuck with it.
I like it. Take what's given to me.
Yeah.
Brianna Decker, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you very much.
Underrated success.